Destiny Markos in the house.
What is up?
Hi, how are you?
How are you?
How are you doing? You
I
good?
am so good. I'm feeling incredible. The album came out today. That is insane to me.
She's an icon. She's a Latin
Stop.
icon.
That's all you.
Oh,
All you.
oh, please.
All you.
I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
You've done so well. I mean,
It's been a journey.
it really has. Just to watch your trajectory in the last year has been like absolutely incredible. So I just want to honor you for a second and say congratulations because you've done so well.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
It's all God, by the way.
Really all
But
God.
I can say thank you on his behalf, but it's all him. Like, honestly.
Well, everything you've done has been for the glory of God, so there's no reason why you succeed. So just in case people don't know who you are, do you want to just like introduce yourself, tell people about your music?
Sure. My name is Destiny Marko. I am a Latin recording artist. I literally sing music about Jesus in like the most playful way. I just want to show people who Jesus is through a sound that they're not expecting from Christian music. Today is May 1st, 2022. I released my album today, but exactly 2 years ago in 2020, I released my very first single called Amor, Amor, Amor. And 2 years later, here I am like putting out an album. So pretty wild, but that's a little bit about who I am. I've been doing music for 2 years. I have an incredible husband named Andrew who has been super supportive this entire journey. And a son who is gorgeous. His name is Colton.
Colton, he's the cutest kid I've ever seen.
Oh, he's so cute. He has the best like curly hair. Obviously, this is super flat. I have to like continually like zhuzh it up every 5 minutes because it's so flat. He does not have my hair.
No. He's just like so beautiful. You can see he's just such a joyful little kid.
Thank you. Thank you.
So can you just tell us about the album's title? So hopefully I do this well. Antes y Después.
Very good.
I feel like sometimes I even pronounce
Very good.
Means before and after for our audience who may not speak Spanish. So can you just tell us the story behind that title?
Absolutely. I think it was really easy to begin to think of what to write and have messages in mind about just who we are before Jesus and who we are after. And I realized that my friend Alexander was writing all of these songs for me as I expressed to him what I wanted to kind of, the message that I wanted to convey for this album through each individual song. And I realized the message kept going back to, I was this before Jesus, but now I'm this after Jesus. And now that Jesus loves me, I am this person. And now that Jesus has accepted me, I am who I am. And I literally realized throughout the process that before Jesus, we are literally nothing. Like we're absolutely nothing. We have nothing really without Jesus. And after Jesus, we have everything we need. We are who we need to be. Our joy comes from him. All of our blessings come from him. So after Jesus, the things that come to us are incredible. And I really wanted to convey that message about the before and after of Jesus, because it's real life. Like people will be like, how do you get such incredible joy? How do you get such this and that? And I'm like, honestly, the Lord, because I'm human and some days don't feel like I want to be happy, but I'm reminded that God woke me up that morning and that I didn't need to wake up, but he has a purpose for me, a mission for me. And every one of you that's watching, I want you to know that you're here for a reason. Not only listening to this live, but you're literally on this earth for a reason. God has placed you here and you're special. You're fearfully and wonderfully made. And those are all of the messages that I wanted to convey through this album.
Amen. That reminds me of James 1, count it all joy. Even though Christian life isn't an easy life, but it's a joyful life with Jesus. Like we made
Absolutely.
that. So obviously you said earlier, but in case like there are more people joining, you released an album on a Sunday. That's not something people really do now.
No.
So let's talk about that. Obviously, you said May 1st is significant for you in your music. And I also realized I went back through our Instagram DMs, and it was a year ago, I think yesterday, when I first reached out to you.
That
So
is insane.
funny we're having this conversation.
That's crazy. It's been so long, and I feel like I just met you, and here we are talking about like a whole full-length album, which a year ago, if you reached out to me, that would have been the 1 year anniversary of Amor Amor Amor, which I thought was so like such a baby. And now we're here like at 2 years.
Yeah,
Crazy.
got a catalogue of work. So what has been maybe one of the most significant songs that's meant the most to you to release in that last years?
Honestly, there have been, obviously every one of them is like having a baby and showing the world your new baby for sure. But I would say Oye Mi Gente. I feel like that was the shocking one. Like nobody expected that to go viral on TikTok and Reels, and I think that one kind of just surprised us in the most incredible way. And for me, Oye Mi Gente has been like literally a testament to who Jesus is. Like the beginning line is Si me preguntan, oye, ¿cómo estás? If you ask me, hey, what's up? How are you? I'm going to say I'm blessed, prosperous, and in victory. That's pretty like, that's a pretty heavy message. Like that's how I'm answering people. Like, how are you? Blessed, prosperous, and in victory. Like no one answers that way. But I feel like that line became such a staple in so many homes because it's literally Bible, you know? And I would say that one has impacted me the most, for sure.
Wow. And
For sure.
let's not shy away from the fact Travi Joe is featured on the track.
Yes, Travi, who is incredible.
So good, so good. So as well, just okay, so let's talk about this track list. 10 tracks.
Let's do it.
5 of them are features. So like we said, Travi Joe, Lucia Parker, Ada Betsabe, Alexander, Chris. You know, all of these collaborations obviously mean something to you. So how does, okay, this is a bit of a loaded question. How does a collaboration differ from recording a solo track? And can you just tell us about how each of those collaborations came together?
Sure. Collaborations are fun, first of all. Solo songs are great. They're like your baby. You can do whatever you want and you don't have to like really go through anyone else. But when you're collaborating, you're working with other people. Like you're working with someone who wants to convey their own message that matches their artistry, and you want to convey your own message that conveys your artistry and the way you do it, and the way, you know, like each poet is different. The way you would tell poetry may be different than the way I tell poetry, and that's the same thing with music. So I feel like it's been fun being able to do something like this because of the similar message that each song carries, and that is the gospel. And that's been the most awesome part of it. But each of these collaborations, I would say they've been with genuine friends. Like all of these have been with, and not just like emailing a manager and saying like, hey, can I get your artist to like feature on my song? It's been like genuine connections. And most of the connections, I have to be honest and say, have been like on Instagram. Kind of the way you and I connected. And now we're just like really good friends. Like that's just, it just is what it is. Like
21st.
Instagram during the, say that again?
The 21st century.
Literally, like Instagram during the pandemic was the best tool to find out about who people were and what they were up to and their talents and what they did. And each of these people were literally God connections, but also Instagram connections for sure. My relationship with Ada was super cool. We had something in common and we started writing to each other, and we had tried to collaborate on my song Electrico with Ingrid, and it just didn't work. Like we were just like, I don't know if this is the song that we want to feature you on. And then Cinderella came out and I was like, I'm looking for a feature to complete the album. Like, are you down? And she's like, sis, send me the song, send me like the open bars. I got you. Within like 24 hours less, she sent me her entire verse. It was just like, they all worked so easily, you know? Travi, I actually met him through Ingrid because her and I were in Houston. I'd still been living in New York. So I didn't live in Houston yet. I was just coming to visit to do some overdubs for the song that was on her album, for our song Avivamiento. And she's like, I'm going to SeaWorld tomorrow with Miel San Marcos, Travi Joe, Daniel Calvetti, like all these huge names in Spanish music. She's like,
that's just like a subtle flex.
I know. She's like, do you want to come with me? I'm like, what in the world? Sure, I'll go with you. And I went, and I was able to meet all these really cool God-fearing people. And I met Travi, and I listened to his music. I'm like, oh, you're dope. And he's like half Puerto Rican, half Dominican, and everybody knows I'm a very proud Puerto Rican. So I just loved it from the beginning, you know? So anyway, those are just two of the many connections that God has created.
Wow. And so this is a hard question, but is there a song that is most significant to you on this album? And if so, why?
That's actually not a hard question.
Really?
This is a really easy question. Only because Andrew's laughing at me. Only because, man, the message of the song is incredible. But Antes y Después, I know it's gonna sound ironic because they're like, she's just trying to plug her album. No, like that title track song, Antes y Después, is my first like full Spanglish song. I've got a full verse in English. I've got half of the chorus that repeats in English, and Antes y Después, the message, like, I don't want to do things my way anymore. Like, that never worked before. Like, how is it that before and after you still came and you changed my life? That's literally what the Spanish words are saying. Como un antes y después, llegaste, cambiaste. Like, you came and you still changed everything. How is that possible? That even when I didn't deserve it before, you're doing the same thing after, now that I've, like, fully accepted you into my heart and I'm doing things better, but I'm still undeserving. How do you still love me the way that you do? And that for me is a no-brainer that it's my favorite song because of the message, for sure.
Amazing. And now we have to give credit where credit is due. Let's talk about Ambrose, the producer, for a minute. What's it like working with a producer who just gets it, gets you, gets your vision, and has like a servant heart to help you create something in collaboration?
It's incredible. I've never met someone who has such an incredible relationship with their producer. And if anything, I've heard like horror stories, like that producers try to take like extra royalties that don't belong to them. They try to like sneak in as a writer and get all kinds of points behind, you know, the scenes. And Tim is literally, he's become like a brother to me. Like, I will call Tim just to like, Tim, bro. And you were not supposed to do this.
I really couldn't help myself.
You know. Oh, you made Andrew laugh.
I feel like that's weird.
You did a good job if you made Andrew laugh. Tim has become a brother to me, literally. Like, yeah, he's. It's incredible. It's incredible to have someone like Tim in my corner because he understands me, like you said. Like but also he challenges me in ways that I need to be challenged just because of my personality type. And he's willing to like tell me, yeah, I think this will work, or no, I don't think that works. That's not what I want to hear. Like, I want to hear that it's great. Like, that idea is excellent. And he's like, I don't know if I agree. And I'm like, you must agree with me. What do you mean you don't know if you agree? So we work really well together. It's a blessing to have him. Seriously.
Amazing. And okay, now I want people to meet Andrew. So let's bring him in. So
wow, I get a drum roll.
You get a drum roll, babe.
This is Andrew Marko. This is Destiny's husband. Also, I would like to say maybe like the brains behind the operation, because he's
about that.
No, like, come on. I know, like, Destiny's there, but you're also there. So, right.
We work together.
So just, can you tell us what it's like working together, and just being married and having that level of additional trust in such a big journey?
I mean, I don't think I could see doing this with somebody that I'm not married to. Like, I couldn't do it like as a job. Like, the fact that we can make decisions together and know that we're both actually making the decision together, and there's no like nobody has another idea or something that they're trying to do behind the scenes. Like, we're married, we have a child together, like, you know, we're doing it together.
Seriously.
Wow. And what was the decision, like what made you decide like, oh, let's partner on this?
I think that was from day one.
Yeah, I think we were just like, why would we ever do this with anyone else? Kind of just similar to what he just said. You always find these people who want to like juice you for all your money, or like, you know, and the money that barely comes in right now.
Money.
Exactly. If anything, we're putting out money. But I think it was easy to make that decision together because he believed in what I was doing. He believed in the calling that God had placed on my life. And he's like, well, we're paying for this together, so why don't we just do this together? And I'm like, there's no greater thing than having your spouse there, like making decisions with you and making connections with you and meeting people together. And it's just, yeah, I think that was a no-brainer because of literally paying for this together. So like, you can't just decide you're going to do music if your spouse is not really on board, because how are you going to pay for it? It's not cheap, you know? Yeah.
Well, there was a learning curve because we were both figuring this out as we went. I mean, I spent my whole life in church and around music and having artists come, but when you're actually becoming an artist or doing it together, it's a whole new world, you know, that you're venturing into.
So what advice do you have for people who are working with their spouse in ministry, in music? How do you kind of keep the boundaries? How do you separate work from a personal life? Share your wisdom.
Wisdom, wow.
Yeah, you're pretty wise.
I mean, something's working, obviously. We're here, so what do you
I know this is going to sound cliche, but communication is very important.
It's not cliche.
It's
a lot of people don't think that
thing.
way. A lot of people literally don't think that way, but it's major.
Like actually talking stuff through, figuring out what's going on, actually being on the same page, not just saying, okay, yeah. Like, no, we need to actually say, this is what we're doing, and we both actually agree on it, you know? Because sometimes there'll be one spouse or the other that just kind of is along for the ride. And, and that only lasts so long.
It's true. You guys have to both be willing to communicate through tough conversations. Exactly. Like through tough things where you're like,
I don't really want to have this conversation
right
now.
Yeah, we've had plenty of those, but I think that's made us who we are today. We're about to be married for 5 years, and we've been through, the first year was difficult, but
there's a lot to work through in the first year when you get married.
But I think in year 5 we can say, man, this is probably the best we've ever been, because we've learned to communicate with each other.
And it takes time, and it's hard work.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't want to put in the time and the hard work.
It's true.
To be honest with you.
It's super true.
Wow. And what's been maybe the biggest lesson you've learned individually? And then what have you learned about each other in being in partnership and working together that maybe you wouldn't have known otherwise?
I'll start.
Go ahead.
I will say what I learned about Andrew was that he's so willing to tackle something that he's never done before. And that's been super encouraging to me, because like he literally, his first language is English. And here he is partnering with like his Puerto Rican wife who wants to become a Latin recording artist. And he's just willing to just take on the challenge and do it with excellence. So that's something that I've seen in him for sure.
I've seen similar in Destiny. I mean, she went from being a worship leader at church. I mean, she's a worship leader her whole life, to all of a sudden she's doing Latin pop. I mean, that was a huge change for her. And I remember in the beginning, she's like, I feel weird doing this. Like, this is, it's different. Like, you know, you go from doing worship music to this, and they're both a form of worship to God, but it's physically very different when you start actually recording, you know?
Yeah.
Wow. And how do we deal with the language barrier, Andrew? Because I get it. It's
I get it.
My Spanish is a work in progress.
Me too. Fine.
Can you give us like a little line in Spanish?
A line?
Yeah, even if it's like, hi, how are you?
Hola, ¿cómo estás? Perdón, mi español no es muy bueno.
Sorry, my Spanish not that good. Uh-huh.
Oh yeah, I know that one too. I'm like un poquito español.
Mi esposa es puertorriqueña, pero mi español es más o menos.
My wife is Puerto Rican, but my Spanish is so. I'm telling you, he plays himself continually. He pretends not to know Spanish, and then I'll be having a conversation with my mom in the kitchen, and he's like, "Wow, really?" And I'm like, "Wait. You cracked the code? Like you cracked the freaking code? Like you know what I'm saying?"
Oh my gosh, that's so funny.
I'm working on it slowly.
He's doing good.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And then, is there anything else that you'd like to share about audience that we've not already spoken about? Anything specific?
I would just say, like, this 2-year anniversary has been such a testament to who Jesus can be if you just have faith, if you just believe in what he's capable of doing and just give it to him. Like, literally just hand it to him. I feel like Jesus is so willing to give us the desires of our hearts if we're willing to let him in. And I just want to tell anyone who's listening right now, it doesn't only have to do with music. If you have any dream in your heart to do anything, I mean, literally anything, God is waiting for you to just open that door and allow him to enter so that he can give you the desires of your heart. Because we serve a God who's a gentleman. So he's not going to just barge his way in. He's not just going to be like, bam, I'm opening the door. Like, I want to get in. No, he's literally going to wait on us. And God is waiting on someone today. And I just want to encourage you that just let him in. Just let him in. It's that simple. Like, just letting him in can do so much.
I mean, that's the first thing that came to my mind when you said that was trust in the calling God has placed on your life. If you have a calling on your life and you feel that it's there, you got to trust it though. I mean, this hasn't been all daisies and roses doing this. I mean, there have been days that we look at our bank account and we're like, wonder how this is going to work.
It's true.
But God makes it work. If God's placed a calling on your life, you need to follow it through, even if it's scary, even if it's a leap of faith. If he said he's going to be there, he's going to be there.
Beginning of God just doing what he does best and just showing up is just placing it in his hands, going to the feet of Jesus and saying, God, I need you. And sometimes it's in desperation, sometimes it's in tears, sometimes it's in walking through the unknown. Like, it literally makes me want to cry because I think of the song Oceans, and it says, I will go no matter what. Like, when oceans rise, my soul will rest in your embrace. Like, I will rest in that, in knowing. And it's silly enough, but I've been to Israel before, and I went to the Dead Sea. And this is like the analogy that I think of. You go into the Dead Sea, and someone who's afraid to be in the water thinks that they're going to go in there and literally just like sink and drown, and they're afraid. And you go there and you're literally floating.
Right on top. You're
floating on the water, right? And how ironic that it's in Israel, right? All of the places where the Bible comes to life, because it's literally Jesus and showing where Jesus has been and where Jesus spent time with his disciples and all of that stuff. And you go there and you're literally feeling the embrace of this water that's not letting you sink, that's not letting you go down. And it just reminds me of God. It just reminds me of the way that God wraps me in his arms, wraps me in his hands, and literally doesn't let me sink.
So what advice would you have for people who might be struggling to trust God with maybe a promise, a calling? Maybe there's some resistance they're feeling to just answer the call, or they've answered the call and they've been obedient and they feel like God is being silent. So they're maybe in a wilderness season. How did you overcome that? Because I'm sure there have been moments in the last 2 years where you've been like in a pandemic. I remember us when we had our first conversation and you were like, I don't know why I decided to start recording in a pandemic. And like, you guys were trying to figure out how to work the equipment, and then you were sending stuff back and forth to Tim, and you were in different states before you relocated to Houston. So, right. So what advice do you have for people based on your own experience?
I mean, I'll say one thing. I did a Sunday once where I talked about how God said he won the battle for us.
Mm.
And how he said he went before the Israelites and he won the battle for them. And I pictured it like there's this great warrior in front of us beating back the army of the enemy or whatever our problem is. And we forget that he's there.
So
all
good.
of a sudden night falls and you can't see him.
Yeah.
And you completely forget that he's there winning the battle for you.
Literally.
But he's still there.
Right.
And that's not always the easiest thing to remember. Because sometimes we forget, and it's very easy to forget. Trust me, I forget myself.
Same.
But if you can wrap your head around the fact that the God who literally created the universe said he's fighting our battles for us, then nothing else really matters, you know?
Right.
True. I think of the fact that some people don't even, like I was mentioning to you earlier, waking up is a gift. Waking up means that God still has something for your life. Like waking up in the morning. It sounds so simple, right? Okay, I opened my eyes, I was breathing, and like God literally has something for you because of the fact that you're breathing, because of the fact that you're waking up. Like God has something for you, and we can't take that for granted. So that alone should be an answer to the fact that we have to have faith in what God is doing, because he's already started by waking you up that morning, by giving you another day to live, to do what he's called you to do, to answer those questions in your mind, to answer those prayers that you have.
So if there were like 3 practical things that you could say for people to do to actively trust God, what would they be?
I
Physical
mean,
things like praying.
Yeah, I would say prayer is my number one.
You know, looking with
Bible.
spiritual eyes and not physical eyes, all of that type of thing. You know?
I mean, physical wise, I would say praying, actively reading your Bible, and doing some kind of daily journaling, writing, whether that's you like to write by hand or you like to take notes in your phone, and just listen to what God has to say to you. It's not necessarily that he's going to speak to you in a loud voice, but thoughts come to your mind. You write stuff down. You write what happened. You write what you're praying about, and you can go back and say, wow, I was praying about that, and now it's answered. You forget about things sometimes, you know?
Another thing I think I would add, and I would like probably make it 4, is community.
Oh, absolutely.
Like we need community. We need people to talk to. We need people to bounce ideas off of. We need fellowship. We need to say, hey, I'm struggling today.
And not just
like I really am, because you may have more biblical insight than I have, or vice versa, and you can shed some knowledge to me that I've been needing for a while, you know, that I didn't even think of.
And not just an hour and a half on a Sunday sitting in a pew. I'm talking like find yourself some solid Christian friends that are at your level or above your level that can help further your walk, you know?
That's, because you guys have a very, very strong community, especially like in Houston. There's like a lot of church, a lot of Christian folk. You got blessed and highly favored.
Highly favored.
That was good.
Highly favored.
So what part has your church played in supporting you? Because I know you are also on the worship team there. And you know, like you're close with Eunice, and like you guys have collaborated together, and you're also doing church together, doing life. So what impact has your church had on in your journey with your music career and like helping you find that balance?
I think they've really supported the fact that I am not always available. Right. Which I've appreciated very much, because a lot of people aren't that way. I think that they've been okay with saying, hey, you need a couple of weeks off so that you can focus on everything else that God is allowing you to do your thing. You know, we're still covering you in prayer. I just had a release party where I invited like 40 of my closest friends, and a lot of those were from Emmanuel Church because of being in Houston. And all of the first people that showed up to help me set up were from Emmanuel. It was Eunice and Sandy, who's our MD that plays the piano. I think having those people has been super cool, because we've been able to have a family outside of our church in New York where we're still very active and serving. And our church in New York has definitely still been the thing that has helped keep this music thing going.
Well, they've been very supportive. Yeah, they considered it a ministry still of New York, even though we're here,
which has been a blessing. So
that's amazing. And what advice would you give to maybe pastors and church leaders? Sorry about that.
Oh,
you're fine. I have an eyelash has been stuck in my eye for like 2 minutes. I've been trying to get out, so I thought I looked like a weirdo.
Oh.
So.
Like my fake eyelash, like there's like glue on my eye. I'm like struggling to.
Oh no, I have lash extension, so it's even worse because all these little singles try to like come down into my eye and like kill me.
Luckily, I don't have to worry about that.
You've got to protect you.
I've got glasses of it, yeah.
Advice to pastors or leaders.
Just to help support people.
I think like a big one is if there is a calling on somebody's life, don't try to force whatever ministry you think they need to be in to be priority.
Period. Drop the mic on that.
People in the back, front, and the middle.
Oh, like where y'all at? Y'all heard that?
I'm just saying, you
heard that?
You may think they need to do X, but God may be calling them to do Y, and you may need to allow them to do Y.
So good and so true. Mm-hmm. So
I think if there was one thing I could say to pastors to help, I think that would be the number one. That if somebody comes to you and says, God is calling me to do this, let them do it.
Right. How do they help steward the gifting and not withhold? Because I see that sometimes, and it's not not everywhere. There are some really amazing, wonderful leaders in the church, but in ministry and things, sometimes people, they see the anointing, they see the gifting, and they try to keep hold of it rather than blessing and releasing when it's the time. So, you know, if there's that going on, so a loaded question, maybe you can both answer it individually. So Andrew, what would you say to the people who are who have been given the responsibility of leadership to help steward and to help build the gifting of someone and helping to release them when it's their time? And then Destiny, what advice would you have for people who might be stuck somewhere and they shouldn't be there anymore? How do they find that grace to leave and to leave well?
I mean, I'll say it can be scary to let someone go, especially as church leadership. I mean, I grew up in church leadership my whole life, and you see how much they're helping the church, and you don't necessarily in your flesh don't want to let them go because say, hey, I know there's going to be a hole when you leave.
Yeah.
But if we're trusting in God that God brought them to us, then if God's calling them on, we know God's going to fill the hole. We just have to have faith in that. It's again, all goes back to, okay, this is scary. I'm losing a key part of my team, but I have to trust that if God's taking them away, he's going to bring somebody to replace them. I mean, I know again, it sounds cliche, but that's the basis of it, believing what God says he's going to do, that he'll replace that person if he's calling them on.
Yeah.
True. And as that person, I would say communicate with your leaders. Like, there should be no reason why we just leave in anger because God is calling us to do something else. And I think that a lot of that comes from fear of what is the leader going to say? I now have to like have confrontation with them, or what feels like confrontation because I now have to tell them that God is moving me forward. But a lot of times all we have to do is just talk to those people and say, hey, I think God is moving me forward, but I would love to stay connected with you. I would love if you would pray for me. I would love if you would be a part of my ministry in some way. I would love to still be connected with your organization or your church or your youth group or your young adult group or whatever it is that you're having to exit. Just have open communication. And it goes back to communication, because communication is everything.
And also, if God truly is the one that's asking you to move on, and it really is coming from God, he will help you make that transition.
Yep.
That's good. My pastor always says, she says, where God guides, he provides.
So I'm saying, if God is telling you to move on and it's not your flesh telling you to move on, then God will help provide that transition for you.
Yeah. Good. So my final question for you is, so we're 2 years on now, and I remember asking you in the first interview last year, like, what would you like to do? Is there an album coming? And you were like, oh, we're just putting out singles for now. That's how I like to do my and album. So, what's next for Destiny, Marko? What's the dream? This is an opportunity for you to put it out as a step of faith, maybe, if there's something in your heart you want to do next.
Sure. What's next? I definitely already have some things recorded that we will be putting out this summer as singles. There's one song that didn't get to make it on the album. It's called Dulce. And if you listen to the interlude, you will hear that I said Dulce in there, because the interlude had to do with like all of the songs on the album. And that one didn't get included, but we left it there because that's going to probably be my very next single.
Just timing didn't work out to finish it.
If y'all have viewed my stories at all here on Instagram in the past 24 hours, you would have seen that I was recording a music video last night, or all day yesterday, not just last night.
All day yesterday.
Yeah, got makeup done at 8 a.m. and then we worked until 8 p.m. So that was a long day, but it's going to be so good. I'm so excited. So we've got a music video coming for Antes y Después, which is the pop rock record, track 3. Song, not record. And then, just a couple more singles. We're thinking about possibly doing maybe a live album where we get into a room with just some musicians, maybe 1 or 2 background vocalists, and I just sing songs that I've already done, but with a live band and live vocals, and then we put out something like that, and then we already have video to go with it, and then we have the musicians and all the music and the songs, and
that's something we've been thinking about for sure.
Wow, I'm excited. I want to see that.
I'm gonna have to wait till whenever you come to Texas so that you can be part of the
yes this summer I'm coming. I'm joking.
Well, if we're doing it, it's gonna be this summer.
Yeah, no, it's on video now, so I have to go.
Now you have to go. You have no choice.
Yeah, come now. It's happening. Don't worry about it.
If you do summer, though, just be prepared. It's warm here in the summer. I'm not going to lie to you.
It's already hot today, and we just got into May, and it's in the 80s.
I went to Tulsa one time in September 2019. Then the only, it was God because I was in Tulsa. Do you know what I'm saying? But it's just it's a random location. Like, why? Went to Transformation Church.
I was gonna say Transformation.
Hopefully, no one from Tulsa is listening.
It's like so humid in the Midwest. So I was like, this is September.
Oh, Tulsa's dry compared to here.
So get ready, girly girl. Dallas is a little better in terms of humidity.
Yeah, because we're right on the Gulf Coast. We're an hour from the beach. So.
Wow. Ooh, I'm excited. So that's everything. Is there anyone in the chat who would like to ask Destiny a question? Is there anything they'd like to share? Let's see. Does anyone want to shout out?
I know my mom was in here earlier. She was saying she loved the album. Thanks, Mom.
Her mom has been so supportive. She's awesome.
And my mom retired to move with us to Texas to watch our kid.
She helps take care of Colton.
So we would have never been able to do all that we've done without my mom, man. She's been so incredible.
Oh, there's Cindy.
Cynthia Tower. That's my sister, actually. Thank you guys. That's my mama, El Vega.
I love this. Destiny Marko fan club.
Stop it.
She says so humbly, with her 500 streams in a day. Let's talk about that as well. I'm sorry, were you expecting that?
So actually, I can't take full credit for that having been done in 24 hours.
From the singles as well.
Yeah, so the singles are, but that number still blows my mind because
it's
that's
still
That's
It
half a million.
still counts.
$500 million.
I'm like, I just want to make sure,
You're like,
right?
wait, huh?
I'm like, that's half a million, right? Like, that's wild. When I started this 2 years ago, I never thought I would see that number on anything.
I remember when we were trying to get to 1,000 followers on YouTube. We were like,
Subscribers, yeah.
subscribers. Sorry, I don't know.
Followers?
Followers. Sorry, I'm old.
Just-
Right. But I remember we were at like 600, and we were like, whoa, we only have 400 to go.
We were like, oh my God.
Like last year, right?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
now I'm at almost 5,000 subscribers, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. Tripled your Instagram following. Verified.
Insane.
Oh,
Oh,
social media queen, everyone.
oh God. God.
There'll come a point where I can't even do these conversations.
Stop it.
I have to go through Andrew and be like, so how many months in advance do I have to schedule my conversation with Destiny?
I'm only going to answer you. I'm just kidding.
She'd be like, it's Hannah, I'm answering.
Yeah.
I love that. Andrew is amazing. Agreed.
Oh,
See, the Andrew fan club's out. It's the Marko fan club.
Oh, it's the
Marko
Marko
fan.
Makes
Flat.
sense. Makes a lot of sense.
fan.
Yeah, is there anything else you want to share before we get off?
Honestly, just that I'm grateful for this journey. I'm grateful to have my husband who does it with me and prays for me, even when I don't know he's praying for me. And I'm just so grateful for where we are. I'm grateful that you have seen something in me since day one, and that we're here a year later. I'm just grateful for the support that I've gotten on this whole music journey of mine. Like, that 500,000 number was wild to me today. I opened it last night and I go, Andrew, what? Because you like notice that your songs have plays, but collectively, like, this is one stream per like IP address. That's
Wow,
insane. That is like 500,000 IP addresses.
that's your
You look at it and you're like, huh?
And you're like,
Yeah.
wait, what?
I remember we were happy that her songs had 1,000 plays on Spotify. We were like,
Yeah.
woo!
Literally, no. Amor, I was like at 124 hours in, and I was like, oh, babe, I have 100 plays on my song. And I thought, I mean, which is still awesome. 100 plays are still incredible, but just where God has brought us has been incredible. So just that. Thank you for believing in me. Thank you for this interview. I'm sure everybody and their mama, especially in the U.S., is taking a Sunday nap after church. So we caught them at a time where they were all taking naps. But to those of you who have been on and have been watching, thank you so much for being here and listening to a little bit of our story.
Thank you so much for joining us. And you can listen to Destiny's music on Spotify. Or where can people find you on, like, for your music?
I made it super easy. So literally everything is, if you see my name here, Destiny Marko Music, that's where you're going to find me on pretty much everything. Twitter, Facebook, Spotify, Apple Music. You're literally going to find me on all of them. Digital platforms,
YouTube,
all of them.
anywhere music exists, she's there.
Literally.
Awesome. And if you guys want to hear some of Destiny's album, I'll be playing it on Friday on the Latin Selection Selection show at 9 p.m. So make sure you lock in to Premier Gospel.